All right, so lesson 2 of unit 2 talks about steps to identifying plants, what you do to start to identifying. So start by answering a question based on the appearance or growth pattern of the plant, what's obvious. You don't need to know a lot about plants to answer some of these questions. Then you can start deciding. If you can, take a walk outside, do this exercise with plants you see. You can also do it with houseplants if you couldn't go outside. So some steps in identifying plants. There's these different categories: woody, aquatic, grassy, flower parts in threes, flower parts in multiples of 4 and 5, and spore producing plants. So woody plants, these are typically going to be your trees or categorized under this, but also like your shrubs or bushes or things that have a wood stem. Okay, so that's how you can categorize them. Does it have broad, flat leaves? If so, it's not a conifer. Does it have needles? Then it's going to be a conifer. Aquatic plants, does it grow in the water with submerged leaves and stems underneath? These are aquatic plants. Does it have leaves and a stem? This can help you narrow down the type of aquatic plant. Some only have a stem. Water lilies are an example of a plant with an underground stem. You see the leaves and flowers on the surface, but you rarely see the stem. Does it lack a true stem? Some have a root base and leaves without a clear and distinct stem, like a lotus. And then grassy plants. So does it have a long, narrow blade-like leaf and minimal small flowers? If so, it's a grassy plant. Does it look mostly like grass, basically? Does it have a hollow stem? Is it a cross-section of the stem, a triangular? So this can be hard to see, but it's also identified with grasses. If you cut the stem horizontally, you may be able to see the triangle shape. So flower parts in 3 are flowers in multiples of 3? So that's when they're clumped. If they are, they're monocots. Do they have parallel veins? These are like orchids, lilies. Does the flower have one petal that's larger than the others? The larger or more ornamental petal is typical of orchids rather than lilies, where they'll have like one petal and then 2 smaller on the side. What are the flowers? Are the flowers radially symmetrical? So can you cut them into multiple identical parts? So are they parts of 4 or 5s? So does it have parts of 4 or 5s without parallel veins? Parallel vein is, if you look in like the leaf, parallel means, 2 lines that are never going to touch. So that's what you're looking for in the leaves, those lines. What's the shape of the flower head? Is it compound like a rose or simple like a daisy? Does the plant have alternative leaves, so leaves that go up all the stem, or are they paired together? These are all things you look at when deciding a plant, what a plant may be. So does it lack a woody stem above ground? And then spore-producing plants, some questions for those. Does it have spores rather than seeds? And so think of like ferns. On the back of them, they're going to have these little dots, little circles. Those are spores, okay? And I don't know if they have a picture of those. No, we'll try to find a picture of that. Does it have scale like simple leaves? Is it spindly and primitive looking? All those go with the spore. So there's a lily right there. It is in multiples of 3s because it has 6 petals. That's a multiple of 3. And it is symmetrical. You could cut it up. You can see. The summation gives you a really broad idea, but it kind of shows you gives you an example of things to look at in a plant. It's not something you're going to learn overnight. It's just going to take practice and practice looking at it, the different plants. So one of the best resources, you can go on the USDA website and try out the tools and see if you can identify a plant. While many ordinary gardeners will never need a more formal classification, every plant is organized by scientific categories. Most people just use the common names, but we do have scientific names. So this is that USDA website, and it's the plants database. So you can look and just hang out in here, look at all these things, common weeds in Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands, sagebrush. You can look at all these. You can search. So let's just search. So like let's look up a sage brush. Or not sage. Texas sage is what I'm looking for. Oh, well, I have scientific name. Now I need to change it to common name. There we go. Now it pulls it up. Texas sage. Right there. It's a bush, grassy type, and it's got little purple flowers on it. It's going to show me the symbol, the groups, dicot, growth habitat, perennial. That means it's going to come back. It shows me where it's grown, where it's native, kingdom, all that stuff. So this is a really cool website that you can play around with. So, and you could do a state search. So if we just want to look at Texas. Oh, we can even look at our county if you wanted to. Just do Texas though. See if it'll do that. It may take a while because there's a lot of plants in Texas. All right. 8,704 records. So it's going to show you, and you can go through here and look at them and see what you can pick your county and see what's growing in your area. And they may not all have pictures, but a lot of them will. So yeah, play with that website. I encourage you to look up the plants in your county.